favour Beastyqt, let alone the fact that if BC is able to leverage this into an incredibly late game, then he can just kind of dominate that entirely by economics.
Yeah, and Beastyqt on the Abbasid in the blue, actually. Starting on something that looks like high view, and high view it is. So it's this kind of nice map where you have lots of those stealthy zones, right? You have lots of those kind of inaccessible patches, inaccessible but kind of low visibility patches, right? They kind of limit your vision severely. So walking through those forests is obviously very risky for any party involved. And then in the... Would you like to do the red introduction?
In the red corner, weighing in at 1 age, it is indeed Daut as the Frenchman. I think really interesting to see here will be whether or not Daut tries to push this. We've seen a one knight into professional scouts and then like building scouts into more knights. We've mentioned that kind of pyramid of cavalry before.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see on such a low visibility map whether the French knights will really have a giant skirmishing advantage, because realistically, if we were to consider these kind of infinitely regenerative scouts, especially in a map where they are so quickly able to hide, really the French, you could think, would have a giant skirmishing advantage here.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Abbasids are known for their castle age pushes, and this is a very short distance map. So, because, you know, you can just kind of move your infantry through the map, just build the siege on the side, like here. Especially that you might actually manage to sneak around and just never be seen by your opponent. You can actually just go here, build a significant number of siege engines, just kind of demolish your opponent's single fight. I've seen this happen a lot. So, we actually have seen this, maybe not in a single fight, but the fight, I think, between... It was Kazva and Daut again, right? Where they were...
So, yeah.
The HRE versus the Abbasid, where like one TC Abbasid just kind of made the miraculous push and won. So now it's going to be Beasty actually who will probably have to do the same. Because I don't believe he's going to go up to 2 TC against the French. It's basically suicidal at this point, historically speaking.
We're seeing no stone building, so I think perhaps that would be indicative of maybe... I mean, I wouldn't put it past Beastyqt to do something like a late game TC almost.
Yeah.
He's quite a unique and innovative player, but again, I think Daut here, especially in this early game, perhaps, what do you really think he needs to focus on to win this? Because you've got to imagine the back of his mind, he's thinking, I lose this, I'm out, and I'm against Beastyqt, right?
Yeah. So, what I would probably guess here is what worked for him before is what Yashim is going to work against. So, what he did against Kazva with the English was very, very similar, right? Strikingly similar almost to what he did against Beasty in game 1. So, I would probably say that he might do the same. Like, he might just kind of go for this kind of death push, you know, like where he amasses siege and slowly ekes out an advantage. But obviously it's going to be way harder against the French, who have this very aggressive play style. HRE are passive, right? So getting through all those kind of ages up to castle is going to take significantly more effort. Actually, like Beasty is going to go... Beasty's going to go towards the stone, so Beasty's going to go to 2 TC. So it's going to be kind of a nice opening for the French to really put their foot down. And yeah, I think Daut is kind of aware of how he can pounce. So I completely mistook, by the way, Beasty for Daut in that kind of speech that I gave. So right now, obviously, Daut is going to be forced on the offensive. I really want to see how well he does, because that's kind of going to be the tell. Right? Because I'm not really sure how easy for a pro player it is to kill a double TC. I think it's relatively easy, because it's not that hard for me. Like, I'm not the greatest player in the world. So I do think that if Daut just sees this, and he does see it now because there's a scout who's just kind of walking past those 5 villages getting the stone, I think he just is going to understand what he needs to do to win this game. I think like archers, knights are going to be in order, and I don't even think you go for professional scouts here in that case. I think you just go towards a more kind of harassment-oriented play style. Maybe though, maybe we'll see, like, you know, Daut just kind of accepting that and just, you know, going for professional scout, just kind of going for a single powerful attack later on down the line. Maybe that's going to be the play of the day. I'm not really sure. We don't see Emil yet though, so actually never mind. We do see Emil, so it's gonna be pro scouts he's gonna take. You can see this actually is immediately started, so he's just gonna research professional scouts, and this means there's gonna be a slightly delayed aggression on the side of Daut. So he's gonna go for this kind of safer, more economy focused play. Which I don't blame him for, of course. Pro Scouts are very good, especially against the Abbasids, because the Abbasids are not known for going for that path. Yeah, it's just going to be a nice macro opener for both players in a way. Because the Abbasids just don't kind of... I don't really know. I think just having enough villagers to harvest resources is enough, and you don't need to have professional scouts to kind of play defensively here as the Abbasids. You don't need that too much. People have not been doing this historically anyway. People have not really... I've never seen an Abbasid player go for Pro Scouts.
It's interesting, we can say. Beastyqt is always interesting, so I think Daut here, he always has this kind of want, this need to do these wave style attacks, constant aggression, eke out an attritional advantage. And I think against Beastyqt, especially as the Abbasids, these kind of late game boomers, especially as you can see he's building a second TC, you'd want to be aggressive now, right? You'd really want to keep pushing now.
You'd like to have a knight around for this, but oh, that's actually very... I don't mind this from that, because look what he's doing, because this TC goes down to secure the deer. And before that, it actually goes up, I think the deer are all going to be gone. Look, he steals 3 already, he's going to take the 4th. Very likely this scout dies in the process, so he's just going to go around, maybe go for this kind of Hail Mary escape here. He actually doesn't. So 4 out of the 7 deer here are just going to be ferried away by those scouts. It's very frustrating, because BC, I think he plays this TC specifically to get the deer. Right, because he was like next to the hunt and also next to the wood line, so it's kind of been like very nice for the Abbasid player. Now he doesn't get the deer at all, so he's gonna be short on food. I think he was relying on getting that. So of course, it's the danger of not going Pro Scouts yourself. You will always kind of lose some of potential food that you have, you know, just kind of presented to you by the map. So it's actually quite nice. I like this move from Daut. He's actually kind of, you know. You can say heads up play, right? He's just kind of ahead of the game a little bit. He must have... Go.
I'm almost a bit interested in the fact that it's 7 minutes in and we're not really seeing these kind of giant pushes. We've seen both players be somewhat defensive in their play, somewhat kind of ramping up in style. And I would suggest by 15 minutes we are going to see an incredible explosion here, Mike.
So yeah, there is I think maybe even a 10, because we see there is an archery range and there's also, of course, the School of Cavalry. So it goes without saying that this is not going to be a passive game from Daut. He needs to go and do something now, because every minute that passes where he doesn't kill villagers is a bad minute for him, because he does actually need to do some damage to basically stem the flow of villagers from those 2 TCs. So he needs to kind of figure out the way of just maybe cutting down the numbers.
Exposed villagers as well, aren't they? They're kind of towards the front line, towards the kind of west slightly. I think if you were to summon a couple knights, push in, push out, they could realistically do quite a lot of damage there. The fact that we aren't even seeing any skirmish or any harassing forces at all is a bit worrying, just simply based on the fact that Beastyqt doesn't have any real military force. There we go. We see 1 Royal Knight here. This is, you know, if we saw 3 Royal Knights, perhaps they could put an almost existential threat to the entire economical system of Beastyqt.
Yeah. But BC is actually kind of nicely building. He's building his base in a smart way, right? He has this TC gets vision all over here. So if he's just watching the map, he sees there's not going to be a knight coming from this direction that he doesn't kind of anticipate. He sees basically the entire perimeter over here. This mill doesn't kind of have any uses practically right now, because I don't know why he actually built it there. I think he was trying to kind of go for those berries, but he eventually decided just to expose. He would never kind of manage to make it work, so he just kind of decided against it. And he just went for the deer hunt over here instead. So this is safe. Like, obviously there are 2 knights over here attacking the gold. That is something that BC doesn't have coverage. He's gonna lose a few villagers. At least 2 right now do fall actually. And that's not a nice start for BC, obviously, to this aggression that he would like to have. You know, he would like to just kind of escape unscathed. And actually this is very good from that, because that just, I think he realizes where there's a gap in the vision. He just kind of exploits it beautifully as well. And yeah, it's just kind of nicely done. You have to say that, you know, Daut just kind of found the hole in the armor, just kind of exploited it very, very well. And obviously losing 2 villagers... Sorry, go.
Daut versus Beastyqt is one of these games, these kind of individual holes, these kind of small windows of opportunity can really, really be pushed. And especially based on the last game, Daut is under a considerable amount of pressure now. And I think he wants to kind of impose that pressure upon Beastyqt almost there.
Yeah.
You see a considerable skirmishing force pushing in here, Mike.
Yeah.
But honestly, do you think this is enough? Or do you think this is just slowly pushing towards Beastyqt's favour?
I mean, Beastie is safe within the confines of his own base, so as long as he doesn't have to leave it, so as long as he doesn't go for like greedy berries over here, I think he's gonna be okay. Obviously, it's quite a large commitment for the French. Like they have very good economy just from the get-go. Just naturally, the French eco is very very strong. So it's not like he's gonna be falling behind consistently, but he needs to do some damage with this. Like it's not the force that ends the game. It's the force that kind of does this. Like he kind of emerges from the darkness. He kills a few villagers. And he just kind of runs away. I'd really like to see Beastyqt, who was very kind of adept at, building defensive infrastructure before. I would really like to see him actually get a tower here, like a tower maybe even here at the bottom, like maybe here. Something that kind of tells you, okay, there are knights coming from the south, because it's the second time that, those knights charge in and actually do damage. However, you can see this time this doesn't go unpunished, and actually lots of those archers are going to be traded away unfavorably at that, so that's not too great. Now, I thought this was actually Beastyqt who was found. He went for the greedy berries, by the way, so he actually does decide...
I'm happy with those berries. I think for Beastyqt, as you said there, building some sort of defensive infrastructure just to the south there would probably be invaluable. He doesn't have a giant military force right now, so to build some kind of static, non-pop capped buildings to really at least hold back the enemy tides for... a minute and a half would really, really be invaluable. We see some palisades being built up here from Beastie, and that's something that we really do like to see, but we are seeing Daut here just keep pushing forward, kind of controlling the sacred site here. Perhaps not the most aggressive projection of force we've ever seen, but Beastyqt still is on the defensive side here.
Yeah, he also does realize that a knight's coming. Look at this, so he has a knight, he has a scout. He keeps sending scouts across the map. He's actually just... Normal players have just absolutely been destroyed here. He could have lost like 6-7 villages in the effort to escape this. Because this is a greedy proxy, right? This is super greedy. But since there are scouts here, like Beastie just knows this is coming. So he knows it like exactly on time to be able to just kind of absolutely get away unscathed. And he's probably going to lose maybe a village or... No, actually not. Those knights are just forced away. So he does get those greedy berries. He gets like maybe 200, 300 food out of this. It's obviously not perfect. But those villagers would have died, they're just completely safe here though. So it's actually quite a nice position for Beastie. He's playing defensive game very well. So he lost a few villagers, sure, but he's actually kind of staying alive. We have seen the Abbasid player just consistently bleed out units, right? So they've been bleeding villagers, archers, just kind of taking bad trades and so on and so forth. Here, Beastyqt with double TC play, he's just kind of making this immaculate almost. Like he's just... You see, actually, he's walling. Normal players don't wall.
This is a giant Great Wall of the Abbasids. I mean, very rarely do we see such an incredible palisade set up from the Abbasids.
Oh! Whoa! Hello there. So that's actually quite nasty. So, of course, this is there's a large force.
Look at these camels. Very, very useful against the knights. Yeah. It's going to be... Daut really needs to micro properly, or else he's going to get giant debuffs off those camels.
Yeah. So he can just get in, like he can just, if he engages like this, he's gonna obviously get those debuffs. You can see Camel and Ease debuff, 20% less damage, means that those are obviously not as effective, but actually those knights are doing quite a good job. There's a considerable force here for Daut. He's actually shredding this attack. We're praising Beastie, but like we said, immaculate defense and such. He doesn't have enough units at this point, I think. He's actually just gonna bleed out a lot of his forces, and those are not good trades by any means. Look at this, like he's losing a lot of units for free now.
We can see a lot of blue on the floor, almost as if it were a sea here. We see a couple, maybe 5, 2 cavalrymen, 3 archers here. So the fact that this tower didn't go down is a bit upsetting if you are Daut.
But Beastie just pulled for villages to repair it, so he knows what's happening. He really just... If he loses this tower, he's actually just going to fall significantly behind. Plus, he has a lot of villagers hidden here, so 5 villagers actually in the tower right now. He loses the tower, he loses those villagers most likely. Or just a few of them anyway. But Beastie has to withdraw from. He probably has to just kind of find a nicer place. By the way, Daut actually does hit Castle Age, and I don't believe Beastie is anywhere near that mark yet. So Daut is actually kind of... Yeah, Daut is giving Beastie what Beastie gave to him as the French. So he's actually finding a nice opening. He's actually attacking here. He is, just kind of tacking up properly. And he does actually, I think, equalize the villager count with this. So Beastie is on 60, I think. Yeah, Daut's on 50. So it's not that bad anyway. It's not a big disadvantage. With this actually going down, I think Daut is reasonable in just backing away now, because he knows he has an advantage.
Definitely, that was a... Daut is one of these people that we've seen, he makes a push, we think he's lost that, and he keeps pushing forward, and somehow he kind of wins the victory.
Yeah.
And I think this is another one of those scenarios where Beastyqt isn't able to actually defeat this army. He's being put under pressure. But I think Beastyqt is probably, if anyone, used to this. You can see his giant sort of eastern wall here, if you will. And this kind of defense will really, I suppose, if anything, leverage him to 20 minutes, maybe, if he starts building military forces here. But
yeah. I mean, he clicks age up right now. He's going to go up to castle, but he's going to be late because the Abbasids cannot use multiple villagers to build. It's going to be 2 minutes. He has to hold them for 2 minutes, and then like 30 seconds longer for the upgrades to kick in, whereas his opponent is just kind of ready to fight. So he just can't... I think he's going to be fine as long as he doesn't bleed too many villagers and units. And of course, Daut has had a small problem there, because I think he stopped both mining gold and gathering wood for some reason. He was really not producing much military. Now he's actually resuming production. You see like 5 units in the queue. Comparably to Daut, to Beastyqt is none, by the way. But yeah, he has kind of not produced much over the course of the last minute or so. So only now does he actually start producing more. There's obviously a stream of red going through the map right now. This kind of streak here of additional archers and knights. But right now I think Beasty is fine as long as he cannot take a fight now. That's for sure. He has to hold on.
He's got a defensive force, but not an offensive force. We can agree with that. But I think the longer Daut has to kind of attack with these 2 rams, push with these archers, the more he gets these additional reinforcements. And I think really Beastyqt has to, as you've said, start producing a considerably large amount of military force.
You can see he's actually getting the tech here. So he's going to go up to several barracks. He's going to get nice infrastructure. So once he hits castle, he's going to start producing men-at-arms who are very good against archers, right? He's going to start producing crossbows maybe against the knights, right? So he's going to have a nice force once he gets there, but as long as he doesn't, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Look at this. Those are 3 rams. So if they are allowed to actually just attack the TC for too long, it's going to be just kind of, you know, curtains closed. And you cannot fight this. Like, you have to wait. You have to be super patient. Of course, this is not good for you, but you have to be super patient as QT, because if you go in too soon, like, you're just going to lose the fight handsomely. I think he's good. I don't like this at all. Maybe he just realizes he's going to lose the game anyway if he doesn't do anything. But at this point, I mean, you make... Okay, there is a salami fight here, so those spears are just gonna make some bratwurst out of those knights. That's true.
Well, this is exactly what Daut wanted to do, right? This is Daut's strategy. He tried to implement last game, it didn't work, but now he's keeping this aggression up, pushing Beastyqt.
But this is not going well at all. Those are veteran knights who are losing to spears.
They're losing to spearmen. These aren't favourable traits, but what is happening here is he's able to project this force while constantly recruiting. We can see kind of a couple dots of red pushing forward. And even this, really, because Beastyqt, the Abbasids, is pushing to a late game exponential economic victory, right? And then you leverage that into military victory. So by doing this, Daut is almost just kind of economically trading for him right now.
Yeah, but the supply is even. So the supply is even. Those he's gonna lose some villagers, but he's double producing. So I don't think he minds it. If he kills this ram, then garrisons those villagers. I think he has defended the push. Actually, that's actually a huge success for Beasty, because
villagers pushing up, throwing torches on that ram really made an awful lot of work, didn't they?
The problem here is that he is idling a lot of villagers. So even though he has like a nice number, like 60 is healthy count, 64 is a healthy count of villagers, he has not been really kind of having them do their job. They have not been gathering at all. That's kind of the attacker's advantage in the game, right? So if you are attacking, your villagers are working all the time, unless there's like some sort of additional harassment going on, of course, right? Right here, of course, this was not the case. For Beasty, he has a lot of idle villagers. I think he lost like 20 in this exchange total, maybe like 15. And he has had like 8 or 9 idle at the same time throughout all this fighting. Whereas, of course, Daut, he's just kind of, you know, producing safely. He has not been threatened at all. He's like the safest economy of them all. He can be greedy on the map as well, because there's nothing stopping him from that. So... And he can keep pushing, because obviously Beasty doesn't have the tech. Daut has the tech right now. Beasty needs an extra, like a minute actually, for the Abbasid tech to kick in right now. It's obviously going to bolster those forces a little bit. There's a mangonel though on the field, so this is probably going to be just repelled immediately, because I do not believe those archers can actually fight a mangonel. So we might actually have a very long game in our hands. No shit, man. We might have a very, very long game here.
We are seeing this sort of attritional warfare that has been kind of dictated by Daut in most of his prior games here, and I think Beastyqt right now is perhaps not on the positive side of it, but he's dealing with it a lot better than other opponents are, and I think this is based on the fact that Beastyqt is Beastyqt, right?
You have to wait for 10 seconds, your Beasty. Look at this damage, like he basically obliterated every single archer in this lineup. Like he took like 50% of the forces of Daut out of contention. If there is one more mangonel shot now that hits, it is obviously going to just take out a lot of those units. By the way, look at this. Beasty has a scout here. He has always had him. So this guy just sees everything that happens. Like, he sees the production of his opponent, and he has been here.
Daut doesn't realize he's there. Do you think Daut can't see him?
Yeah, because he's hidden. He's hidden in the woods. Look, like those units are passing by. Like, this one sees that, but now, yeah, that's insanity. Beastyqt has full intel in this game. He has full intel on his opponent. 66 villagers, 50
like Daut
village.
as well. Something like that. That reconnaissance there, that full information is perhaps way more important than it would be against someone else. Because Daut is one of these players that, you know, attacks in kind of perhaps unsymptomatic ways of a normal AoE4 play. You know, these kind of.
BC also knows there is a seed workshop here, which is very important information because this means there are going to be springles coming out, and that he needs to prepare for those. So he needs to build like a springle of his own. It's also like you can see how much of this is actually just prediction and planning and strategy and just observing. It's just so cool to see. May plays, by the way. This game is 2 months old, I think, maybe 2.5. And it's great. You can get it for $4 on X, or for $1 if you are a subscriber of Xbox Live. So you can try it out anyway before you buy it for a month. So it's quite cool. You can test it and see if you like it this way.
It's quite a force amassed here from Beastyqt.
Yeah.
But again, here we see from Daut. Every single time Daut's opponents amass any sort of military force, he is always ready there with a sort of commensurate force to kind of waylay any push. Again, we've never seen Daut really under pressure.
No.
Outside of that last game.
No, not at all.
The Golden Age.
So Golden Age is the tier that you get from the House of Wisdom. So if you have like lots of buildings next to one another, you essentially just get a small economic bonus. It's like 5% increased food income, I think, and some extra research time and some extra research cost reduction as well. So the bonuses are 10% gather. I was actually for all resources, so it's like plus 10% for all resources. It's kind of a free econ upgrade, really. Then the second Golden Age is 15, and research speed goes up, and then in the third tier, it's actually production that goes up. I actually haven't played the Abbasid for a while, so I forgot about the bonus values.
It's really fun to look at the manner in which Beastyqt has walled off this map to kind of determine map control. Neither of these players are... You know, Daut, you've even mentioned before, isn't renowned for his map control. He's more renowned for just pushing forward in a straight line, kind of abandoning everything, especially against that HRE player. He let him take all of the relics, but against a player like Beastyqt, he's more than willing to map off parts of the map, kind of delineate what is his and what isn't his. I think that might actually be kind of quite a war for Daut to get through, really.
I think Beastie is in a pickle though, because I was not watching the resources for a while, but now that I started to, you can see that actually Daut is in Imperial Age, so he has managed to get the 4th tier of tech. So it's going to be very scary few minutes again for Beastie, because once again, Abbasid is not the best at aging up. And I think you would like to fight right now if you could. So that's kind of the problem, right? Because if you go into a longer game against, you know, the opponent who has like a significant tech advantage, I'm not really sure why. He hasn't. This is too far, right? I think just this card is too precious. But you know, you'll face against cannons. You'll face against like those elite royal knights. You'll face against elite archers. Those are not fights that you want to be taking. So, in essence, right now, you really do want to take a fight. At least a fight that kind of gives you a chance to prolong the game. So if you can take the Pyrrhic victory right now, if you are Beastie, you really want to take it, because this means that you can make this game go for a longer period of time. And as a result of that, of course, you can just, at some point, age up and just equalize things. Of course, if you are looking at the forces, you have lots of spearmen. Like, those are very efficient units, especially for the Abbasid, because they do have this special tech in their barracks, which has probably been researched by Beastie, and this gives them additional spear range. So those are the best spearmen in the game. They're actually quite good against any other unit, except for the archers, right? Which does actually mean that they're going to have a nice kind of fighting chance against those units, but at the very same time...
I'm happy without pushing forward. You really don't want to let Beastyqt build up such an incredible defensive force, especially with a keep there. This is...
That's actually Daut's keep. That's Daut's keep. Yeah, he's gonna...
This is one of the largest kind of just army attacks we've ever seen before. Can you believe this, Mike?
Yeah, but there's a veteran knight, so actually this is not a bad fight for Beastie if he just manages to micro correctly. You can see how many Mongols are. Look at those shots, man. They're like, this is obliteration for those forces. Actually, Beastie is ready Beasty's ready, look at it, so he's actually sniping all the Springles as well, so there is no anti-siege at all for Daut right now.
In the back though with his cavalry trying to take out this
Yeah.
Mangonel, but being
He
pushed
did-
on by the spearman. Like.
He did everything so well, look at this, he denies the keep, he kills all the anti-siege, he gets a massive mangonel shot on this lineup of archers, he denies every single advantage from Daut. Daut is Imperial Age, he has massive force, he has massive tech advantage, and he still just doesn't do anything here.
I would guess, Mike, that is one of the worst kind of tactical defeats we have ever seen in
Yeah.
a game so far here from Daut.
Beasty is so freaking good at this game, man. Seriously, look at this. Like, this is insanity. He has enough resources, by the way. He has not been producing at all. He has a military advantage, an economic advantage.
This is the pendulum swing. We've seen here that Daut has always been on the correct side of the pendulum swing here.
Yeah.
But I think Beastyqt has understood exactly what's going on right now. He's going to push directly into Daut's base.
I don't think he needs to push. I think what he can do right now, because he has an advantage in all possible dimensions almost. He wants to go for this kind of more passive play, I think. He just wants to go up to Imperial. He's starting right now. He's starting to do that, right? He's going up to Imp with the military wing. He's gonna get lots of nice infantry upgrades with this. All infantry gets plus 15% HP. Camels give the nearby infantry additional armor, as well as actually a lot of good buffs. So it is gonna be a really powerful kind of age up. If you can just deny the siege workshop as well from that, I think he doesn't want to fight here even. He just wants to kind of just look for an opportunity to maybe do some small amount of damage, just gonna force his opponent to do something uncomfortable, and then just gonna back away. See, he's not committing to anything, because he knows, in 2 minutes, I think, from now, because it's gonna be a 3-minute H4 upgrade for Abbasid, isn't it? Yeah. So
I really wouldn't mind seeing Beastyqt just wait for those upgrades, as you said, because this is such a numerous army, this is such a powerful army that realistically,
yeah.
I think it could pose perhaps that kind of pressuristic threat that Daut usually does.
Look how he has sectioned off the map with the walls as well. Like,
unbelievable.
That's ridiculous.
Something that we rarely see, but mentioned before. This map control is unparalleled, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I really love watching Beasty play. Oh, look at this! Those archers are all gonna die. Look, it's like 10 bodies. Poor freaking French archers just, pushing up the daisies. Oh my goodness.
Micro here, and I think against Daut is just. We have to really outmatch it. He's just outmatched in terms of.
Yeah, he just pounces like crazy. It's like, this is the StarCraft 2 play. Look at this, he aimed those mango shots as well ahead of the forces of Daut. He gets so much done here. That's crazy. Like, you can stop this with a keep for a second or two, but then, Beasty is like 10 seconds away from Imperial Age up. He's just gonna come at you with cannons with. Oh, jeez, all those archers are dead, aren't they?
We're seeing Beastyqt do what he always does on ladder, I suppose. One of the best players in the world, but sometimes has stage fright. We're seeing these micro pushes. I mean, can you believe that? That microing of the Mangonels into the archers, just destroying all of the opponent's force with essentially no effort whatsoever.
Look at this, he's taken a lot of the relics in the meantime. He's taken the sacred side, like at the back of those massive attacks. And those crazy micro plays, he's just doing everything so well. There's some nights that are just gonna go for the
aggressive bonus as well. When you're being aggressive, you get to control them up, you're gonna take all of these relics, but now, what do you think about this force from Daut here?
They're gonna all die. It's like, those are very hard, like those are not full HP knights. Those could have done damage effectively. Those are like, 15, 20 HP knights each. And by the way, there's a huge force of Beasty just kind of getting the upgrades now, because the Beasty is almost capped. Daut is working like, I think, 120 population, 100, yeah. I'm actually good at guessing, I'm good at reading the pop numbers. See, 120 is exactly the number here for Daut, so he's like essentially dead. He's like a dead man walking at this point. He just needs to realize he's dead, and then he's just gonna, just die. I don't think he has a chance here. He had a cannon somewhere as well that he lost, which is really unfortunate, because a cannon is worth more than a keep in this game. Like, a cannon is 1,000 resources, a lot of that is gold, whereas keep is just 800 stone. So actually, keep is very, very important. A cannon is like one of the most important pieces on the board, essentially, that you want to just keep alive at all times. You can see here, of course, there are lots of forces of Beasty just kind of trying to clean up those knights who managed to make their way into the base. But this is going to be a full wall of them, so there are going to be very few possible attacks, like avenues for attack anyway. And also, this keep has got...
Look at this, Mike. This is perhaps one of the best games we've ever seen, I think.
Yeah.
Look at these being built so close to each other, this constant aggression. Micro at 5, 6 fronts at once. And now we see another aggressive attack here from Beastyqt, pushing with these archers, trying to cause... Look at that though, 2 keeps built up, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, the
This
thing is,
kind of magical game almost.
this turns the game more passive, but Daut has like 80 supply disadvantage at this point. This is not a small number in any way or form. I'm not really sure what those guys are doing here. I think they were supposed to find some sort of an opening, and BC just kind of, you know, F2A moved them, so he just kind of selected all the army units and just moved them across the enemy ranks. But it's going to be a very cool... I thought this was over, essentially, but I guess like Daut has some potential if he managed to build up a force large enough. You have to remember, though, every single resource that that Beastie builds up right now is just going to go into his pockets, and every single resource that Daut gains is going to just be placed on the field, is going to be deployed. So,
have you ever seen someone with 3,000 stone before, Mike?
Yeah, no, actually, I'm not really sure what Daut is going to do with this.
Stone.
And actually, Beastie is working with 7... I mean, if you run out of gold on them up, that's kind of the secondary resource. You can just kind of collect the stone. I think that's what they're doing in a way. And you can just essentially use that stone to sell it on the market to get gold, because stone just kind of usually trades well at first anyway. So I think that's what he's doing right now, right here. This being said, is like that's just kind of a I think a halt, like small truce. But the thing is, Beastie is accumulating resources, so unless he just kind of loses the entire his entire force for nothing, even if he loses a fight, like to some extent, he can take an unfavorable trade and still come out on top, because his opponent is building up forces, and he's just essentially just, you know, pocketing all that money. So if I were Beastie, I would actually just try to find a nice opening. He's actually going to get a cannon here, which is obviously the right thing to do.
I think I almost wouldn't mind watching Beastie take the part of Daut here and impose these attritional warfare kind of stance here. You necessarily don't want to jump into 2 keeps. That's not really a fight that you want to take control of.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what those archers are doing. If you are Daut, you don't want to be throwing any units away, by the way, because if you lose a single unit here, like, this is not something you can just replace. So you're just kind of making the hole deeper, you're just digging yourself a grave, and that's kind of not what you want to be doing in an RTS game, is it? So there's a first cannon actually just coming up over here. I'm not really sure what those knights and archers... I really have... What are you doing, Daut? You are at 130 supply against a 200 supply guy who is just building up a bank. You cannot lose units like this. That's illegal. That's just... Oh, that's terrible for him, actually. Like, that is it. I think Daut is not reading his element right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Daut is... We've seen him before. He doesn't really get pushed. He doesn't really get pressured. But in a fight like this is something I don't think we've ever really seen before.
No, it's kind of...
3 keeps facing off against each other with such massive armies, 30 minutes, and I think Daut here... Overwhelmed might be the key.
But that's actually getting the relic with this prelate or monk. That's the French units is going to be the monk, right? So he's going to go for, he has 2 relics right now. He's actually kind of handling this deficit as well as he can, I think. And BC actually lost a cannon here. So again, you shouldn't be losing cannons. Like, they're more expensive than keeps. So that's the most important unit for him. If he's kept in check for long enough, right? I don't think his advantage is going to matter too much at the kind of a very late stage in the game. Of course, he's going to get the university upgrades, and of course, the English here, the French, they don't have any uni upgrades. I'm not really sure if Daut has a university built. Yeah, he does. He got the whole... Oh, as I was speaking, he actually must have got the cavalry HP upgrade. So, no, he doesn't. He still needs to get it. So he's starting the incendiary arrows, which is obviously quite good. In terms of the tech, he has all the attack upgrades. He's missing 2 final defensive upgrades in those terms. Like, Beastie, on the other hand, he has like very many gaps to fill. Look at this. He has the university. He has only researched the infantry tech so far, so that's gonna obviously bolster those spears. He is actually getting chemistries on which is gonna improve those gunpowder units, so he's gonna get some cannons. I think that's kind of important, of course. I would really like to see those incendiary arrows done as well, because this improves the ranged unit fighting capacity. He has some archers here at least, but maybe he's just gonna ditch the archers altogether. Then that upgrade obviously doesn't make much sense. So BC does kind of expand his keep line over here. She's gonna have this one kind of hold the line over here on this side. He's also gonna build the stone wall. Okay, so it's gonna be a long game, because
it's so unique, you know. Beastyqt here is building into such a late game with the Abbasid, something that we often talk about the Abbasid late game, but we very, very rarely see here. And Daut, as you've said, kind of out of his element here. Do you think that Beastyqt is almost playing with his prey?
No, I think Daut is actually... doing reasonably well for the kind of for the hand he has been given. So he has been, you know, building up the army numbers. He threw away some units there before. Like, well, he would have been at 200 now if he hadn't done that. But he's actually trying to look for openings. Now he's gonna see that stone, he's gonna say, okay, oh shit, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not throwing away units at this point anyway. I cannot trade. So that's the thing. Beasty cannot trade. So Daut cannot trade at all. And as French, you would kind of be pushing and just expanding your lead. He has no lead whatsoever. He's gonna be just kind of barely able. He's gonna be barely able to hold to the skin on his teeth, and he's just gonna be able to survive and build up the military numbers. Right? That's the only thing he can do right now. And obviously he's doing this quite well, so he's been very good at stalling the game, but the question is like, how long can you stall it for? And the answer might be like, not for much longer, because this keep is bound to fall. Of course there's, oh that's actually very, if Beasty doesn't repair this, he's gonna lose this bombard. No, actually he micros this on time, and Daut is the one who loses the bombard, kind of, it's not good. If you are working at, you know, very low resource counts, you don't want to be losing bombards, that's definitely a given, right? So another problem for Daut is that he's working with mostly trash units. He has some archers. He has obviously a few knights on the side, on the kind of back side of the map. But essentially, he's just working with a large force of archers, and those are not.
Stone walls being consistently built are so just oppressive right now. Beastyqt almost doesn't need to do them based on the fact that this game is going such a way, but he's every single time he attacks, he's also kind of molding off the opponent's keys for victory. It's very, very interesting gameplay here.
Yeah.
You see the camels build up with the spears in the back of the giant bombards there. I think we see him down, and this is probably one of the last pushes he can make, right? Trying to just break his way in.
But he can do this because the mangonels are actually very strong in large numbers, even against cavalry. You can see how much damage he took on the kind of backside of this. Those knights can heal, so it's not the end of the world, right? It's not kind of the final engagement or anything like that. But he did actually not find anything with those knights. He lost some as well. So this is the opposite of what he wants to be doing, right? He wants to actually have... Oh shit, there's another wall coming. Look at this. It's just beautiful, man. It's just some next level play. He's just gonna be pushing with walls almost. Look at this. He's just gonna kind of build this. I think he's just gonna follow another layer of walls later. It's just gonna be kind of this continued push with walls.
I agree with you. I think this is this kind of a traditional wall fight we've mentioned that's just... We've never ever really seen before in a game like this. We see giant armies, 50, 60 strong, simply waiting. And there isn't really a place for skirmishing right now outside of like cannons, bombards, incredible siege artillery.
Yeah. I mean, you have to say Daut has been actually holding onto this keep for a while, which is great. So he's still alive.
It's surprising how good Daut is in this position right now. We've seen him put in positions that we never thought we'd see him in before. And somehow he hasn't lost yet to, I think, someone you could make a stake for him being the best AoE4 player right now, Beastyqt.
Yeah. And obviously this is actually a nice defense, right, for Daut. He's actually building up a bank now. He is capped as well. But he's too afraid to approach any sort of trading it, because he knows there are mangonels there, right, which are going to make short work of those archers. He doesn't have any kind of solid knights yet. Those are not yet upgraded fully as well. He hasn't got the cavalry upgrade at the university that makes those French knights so unique, because you have that plus 30%, I think, or 35 even percent upgrade at the uni for the French boys. So that hasn't got it yet. He's actually kind of far away for it, like 490. Gold is not much, so he could... No, wait, I'm wrong. What is happening here? I think we're looking at the wrong university here for... because I'm not really sure. I think he must have got that upgrade now. Yeah, he has that 300 HP on the... No, he doesn't. So he is still kind of far away from getting that done. And those knights, again, are not going to trade favorably here at all. So he's going to lose some units. He's just going to be forced to back away here. And you can see those walls closing in, right? So I'm not sure he can do much right now with particularly strong siege forces as Daut. You need to actually kind of build up a nice siege. If you don't do this, like, you're never going to be able to find anything. And Beasty is just kind of relentless, slow. He's so slow, but he's so relentless in this push. And he's going to build another keep, so he's just going to keep going.
Inexorable push here from Beastyqt. These keeps, these walls here, inching bit by bit into Daut's base. I think for Daut, what do you even need? Do you need to just create an incredible strike force and push in where you're unexpected? How do you ever win this?
I would say cannons, like many cannons, because like you cannot. I think we know it for sure right now. We cannot stop this by just throwing your normal units at this force. Like you need to actually have something that disarms this artillery force. You need to have something that just overwhelms the keeps, that just kind of removes them from the play. If you don't get that very, very soon, you're probably going to be in a losing position, because Daut is not doing that poorly. He has been able to accumulate some food bank. He's surviving for now. Anyway, he has like a sacred site. He has 3 relics to 2, I think, so it's not terrible. Now, obviously, his units are cheaper, because if you have the keep, any archery range or stable in the range of that keep is going to produce units at a relatively relatively lower cost. So that's obviously great. But this being said, you need to have, you need to have something that breaks this push. You cannot just allow Beastyqt to, keep building keeps in your face, because eventually they're just going to be here in the middle of the map, which is not desirable at all for any player in the world. And that is kind of going to be the thing, right? There's a keep going up here. I do think that Beastyqt is going to build another one. You see this kind of, he's just going to grind his opponent down with, just superior infrastructure.
10,000 meat, Mike.
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah, crazy. So much food indeed. And, like, that's just crazy game, because generally speaking, you want to be doing something, but I think Beastyqt realizes his best chance for victory is just kind of to just stay there and just, keep pushing with cannons. Like, what can happen then? I mean, what you could
probably one of the most incredible perversions of risk versus reward we've ever seen.
Yeah.
We're seeing someone try to operate on a 99% reward, 1% risk manner. But indeed, it'll take him an hour and a half to get the victory.
I would like to see something done by Beastyqt, because he has so many resources, he can definitely throw some units away. I don't mean like, just take your whole army and just let it die. I mean like, take 10 units, move them here, because there's a trade going, and you have to know this because your opponent has gold somehow still. There is, villagers gathering the wood here, of course, right? There is something that you can find. So you can find some damage, and every single piece of damage that you do, of course, is going to benefit you because you're ahead in terms of the bank. So
I really would like to see him take on Daut's wave approach right now, because you really do have resources to spare, if not throw away, as you've said. So I really think I would like to see these kind of wave attacks, constant harassment, because you really do want to close the game out sooner rather than later.
Yeah. He's gonna get elite camel archers. I've not seen this unit in a pro game before, like, being upgraded to elite at all. So those are very steady camels right now. Of course, there are some spearmen as well over here. There's going to be a large fight actually taken by those players. I'm not really sure how exactly those Mongols are doing. For now, they're actually just dying to Calver in the back. So Royal Corvin, very strong unit to deal with the artillery. And actually, Beasty is getting sniped down. I'm actually not favoring Beasty in this fight anymore. I think he's going to lose this to some extent. He might actually have to reconcile. So he might have just kind of reconcile and just, give up on some ground here. This cannon is absolutely mismicroed here, I think. It might actually kill the Cal, which is going to be great. So that Calvin anti-artillery, the best anti-artillery unit in the game, the French Calverin, is going to go down, of course. There are some additional cannons from Beasty. Beasty is actually going to, as I said, have a lot of possibilities to spend those pockets. Like, he has super deep pockets, and he's not going to lose this fight altogether. So he's just going to find a nice situation for himself right here. So we see that this is just going to be shut down. And yeah, Beasty just remakes the army, Daut just remakes the army, and I think Beasty is just gonna gain quality because he has produced several cannons and he has killed the Calverin, which is obviously great.
I really am quite a big fan here of Beastyqt's sort of pivot into a more offensive kind of, like, just a brutal attack where he's just sending wave after wave in currently.
Yeah.
As we said, with this kind of abundance of resources, what else really should you do?
And the problem is, right now, Beasty has the cannons. He kind of was capped on population before. And I think that's kind of how the game might end. Like, Beasty is just gonna trade... Like, every single trade that Beasty takes right now is gonna be favorable, I believe. So, he just kind of has to keep fighting, and he has such deep pockets that unless he makes a critical mistake, like, he gets, like, as I said, completely cleaned up or something, he loses all his artillery, which is about to, by the way.
Looks like it might happen.
Yeah, but he's also trading against the artillery of the French, so he's not gonna lose too badly here. Like, if you can just delete the artillery of your opponent and just kind of, take a fight, it's gonna be okay. Daut has a lot of keeps though here, so he's gonna have, like, a lot of security in his own base. He has a keep over here as well, so it's gonna be very difficult to actually find an avenue to do damage to his opponent. Now, it is actually happening though. He's doing significant amounts of damage here. He's actually defending here. With those forces producing a lot of military, you can see there are also villagers idle here, but there's actually a nice contingent of units that is going to find an opening maybe into this kind of eastern side of Daut's base. And Daut is out of gold. Like, Beasty has 5,000-6,000 gold to spend. Daut has essentially nothing right now. You cannot even build a single cannon. So it is gonna kind of rely on the prowess of Daut right now to kind of do the damage control. Really. That's what we're doing here. It's just damage control. And if he can snipe some of those cannons, of course, it's gonna be amazing, because every single cannon that dies means that, you know, less damage is being done to the base of Daut itself. But Beasty is kind of relentless. You can see Daut dropping 172 supply. Beasty must be on 200 still, and he indeed is. So he can just keep producing units, and even if because he got rid of the keeps right now, he's not going to be trading like super poorly. So even if he's just kind of not trading too favorably, he's still trading rather well. And Daut is just kind of, you know, basically on the brink of defeat, because he's losing resources, he's not really making anything happen for himself. You can see those keeps are still standing, by the way. It's kind of the indicator here, of course.
As Beasty, you don't even really, as you said, you don't really need to trade favorably. The only reason why you need to trade is kind of for time, really.
Yeah, you need to remove resources from your opponent. You just, yeah. And
so realistically, for Beastyqt here, this is probably one of the most well-contained, technical, straightforward victories I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to a boxer taking it to 12 rounds, kind of piecing his opponent up on points, not getting touched once. This is a remarkable gameplay, though.
You have to say, though,
the Beastyqt versus Daut would be like an incredible game, right? Something we really need to watch. And I think this is why. I think we see that Daut is almost like kind of a proto Beastyqt, if you will.
Yeah.
He doesn't quite have the micro or the macro right now, but realistically, this is kind of almost a decider for who's in the finals, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. Like, Beasty's gonna go far with this. Like, I think, though, like, we saw some insecurity, because I do believe that Beasty has had the advantage for the past, like, 15-20 minutes, and he never extended it. So, I think he was playing way too safe here. I think he was, I guess, like, this is a very important game in the tournament, right? Because you can just, you know you're gonna win. I think Beasty just knew, if I play this safe, I am just 100% going to, and there's no freaking way in the world that I lose this game if I play it safe and slow, because I just have an advantage, I have deep pockets, and this means I'm just gonna hold this advantage forever. The problem, of course, is, for Beasty, that if it was like a more even game, like if you get an advantage and you don't push it, you might eventually lose it, right? So Beasty, of course...
I think the crux of what you're saying here is that for Beastyqt, he tried to play it so safe and so secure that against perhaps someone who had the want to, could have made a push, perhaps through a wall, kind of unnoticed, and really leveraged an opportunity that wouldn't be there, just based on how long Beastyqt took to win, right?
Yeah, and he took a long time to win, no shit.
If you take 20 minutes to win, your opponent only has 20 minutes of opportunity.
Yeah.
If you take 50 minutes, your opponent has another 30 minutes of opportunity to try and do something weird to beat you. And that really, especially on a level like this, against someone like Daut, even though he was kind of... This was almost like a handy, realistic kind of world push, right? We sort of slow aggression forward until it was just completely conquered.
Yeah.
And that's something that we really don't see often in this.
Yeah, it was a very... I think this is a nice kind of thing to see, because we have had those very rampant, you know, crazy, violent, volatile games. Now it's actually been a steady, nice series. I like both games in the series, actually, for that. It was kind of nicely handled in both cases by Beasty, of course, because Beasty is just Beasty, just being himself. But that has shown us that he can play nice macro game. He is very consistent. Like, he has maybe some work to do, but
it's like he put him in a pressure cooker and started preheating him, though. And slowly over time, Daut a bit warmer, until at the end he can't breathe. He's being pushed in by so many forces. I mean, he even had the keep advantage on the western front there, but really didn't mean anything because he couldn't leverage that into an offensive or indeed any kind of economical advantage here. And we just see just destruction, right? Just rampant destruction. It's almost as if Daut just refuses to surrender.
He does.
I don't think he has any chance of winning this.
By the way, Omnipresent is banning bots in the chat as we speak, so he's just doing this kind of smiting on the other side of the screen in Ukraine. So thank you so much, Omni, by the way. I'm very glad you're doing this. So yeah, Beasty is cleansing Daut and Omni is cleansing bots. Lovely stuff. It's a smiting time indeed. And yeah, I don't think there is anything that you can do, because if you lose a grasp of a game like this, your opponent has all the economy in the world still to just keep producing, and you're just kind of slowly losing the kind of parts of your base. It's actually great. So
one of these battles is something that could almost be studied for Age of Empires 4 doctrine, right? This is one of these things that you could consider replicatable, no?
yeah,
There's a kind of core strategy of building these walls, pushing forward and forward and forward. And while it may sound simple enough, like, oh, all he did was gain a giant economic advantage and wall forward, these things are something that we've not necessarily seen at all before, and something that really, I think, could take place in almost a meta, like an Abbasid meta, no?
yeah. So, especially that he was able to hold on, that's kind of the impressive part for me. Like, he was able to go up to 2 TCs, hold against the French, defend the assaults, build up an economic advantage, win a massive fight when his opponent had the attack advantage like twice in a row, because he defended the castle attack with a feudal defense, and then he defended the imperial attack with a castle defense. And I do think it's not even Abbasid guidance that you're gonna get from this. I think it's gonna be essentially he's just playing almost optimally, I think, in this game. Like, this is just very clean game overall, except for the ending that was kind of rough, you have to say, but he's just playing very, very cleanly.
I think there is we've always talked about this aspect of the kind of clean, let's call it clinical, really, because it's by the numbers, it's exactly how it should be in a way. It's a slow, attritional push forward. But as you've said before, inherent in that is the time. Do you think that maybe if Daut, I don't want to say if Daut was someone else, but if Daut had a different strategy here, he could have made some kind of incredible push hits. I really think that Beastyqt, whilst this is quite clearly a dominant display of power,
yeah,
against someone else it might not have gone such a way. He makes it look easy here, but against someone else they might have just made him look like a fool.
Yeah, I agree with him. The problem is right now that, yeah, I think Daut just kind of did mess up a few times. This is something that your opponent, if you're playing the Abbasid, can obviously clean up a little bit. So taking those terrible fights at the kind of breaking points from one age to another, right? This was kind of what really sealed the deal for us. And I do not think that, I mean, you can see Daut is kind of trying to defend, but like he just has to give up eventually. I think, yeah, he just gives up. He realized, okay, I'm done with this. The tournament is over for me. Good luck, Beastyqt. I'd imagine he says, you know, one Serbian brother to another, of course. They're not brothers, essentially, but they are...
this is one of these games where after it, the first thing you do is press enter as fast as you can and just start spamming.
Yeah.
A bunch of really GGF, you are the, you know, this was one of the funnest FFF, blah, blah. This is a very unique game for both players, and indeed for us watching.
Yeah.
This is perhaps that unicorn you're always looking for, Mike.